What's up, you guys? Sean Rossett, managing editor of Fightful.com here. Fightful.com podcast. It is October 2nd. We got Monday Night Raw to talk about. Brock Lesnar versus Sheamus's weekend match. We're going to talk a little bit about the Bullet Club. Of course, we want to extend our condolences and our thoughts to those in Las Vegas, everybody who dealt with that tragedy. That's horrible. Definitely not the type of thing you want to go to bed to, which is what a lot of us did go to bed to. Senseless act, and definitely what the WWE did before their show, I thought was a great gesture. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well, but I am rejoined now by Alex Pawlowski, who is off of a 5-day, I wouldn't call it a vacation, Alex.
Nope. No, it's family stuff dealing with my wife, and we brought our 8-month-old along. A drive from Wisconsin to Tennessee is a long ways.
You're lying. You're Batman. You're Batman. You were doing Batman stuff.
I was doing Batman stuff. You found me out. You found me out. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure I had food poisoning last night. Tonight, like 80% back. But let's get on to some Raw.
To keep up with the theme of your hidden identity, in regards to the main event promo, WWE, why do you want to kill me? Why do you want to kill me? Oh boy, I can't wait to talk about that one.
Yep.
There's plenty of good, there's plenty of bad, there's plenty of in between, and there's plenty of why was that even on the show? WWE opened the show, everybody on the ramp, including Shane McMahon, who I had no idea would be at this episode of Raw. I figured he would be off spending $500,000 on a horrible investment somewhere. Did you read that today?
I heard about it. Didn't have a chance to read the article, but
he invested $500,000 a couple of years ago in a legal marijuana company that pretty much barely existed. And he had to sue to get his money back. Yikes. Yikes. But I thought that was a good gesture. Obviously, you're coming home today as we hear about all of this stuff. Any thoughts on how WWE handled this?
Classy. I mean, Vegas is a home for them. They do a lot of stuff there, so it's nice that they can pay the respects in that way. I mean, I don't know what you say about this kind of thing, but so them just doing the moment of silence with everyone out on the ramp is a really nice gesture.
I would agree as well. Guys, I want to get the plugs out of the way. This Friday, we have Bellator 184 coverage and discussion. Saturday night, UFC 216 live coverage discussion and a post-show podcast. 2 title matches on that show. And, of course, on Sunday, it's WWE Hell in a Cell. We'll have coverage of that all day, the kickoff stream. Come talk to us on the forums, on the live discussion page, really anything you want. And, of course, our live post-show podcast. I want to encourage you guys to use those forums. We'll be starting a new contest on Wednesday on the List and Ya Boy podcast. We will announce it 3 p.m. Eastern Wednesday for that. It's our show where the founder of Fightful.com, Jimmy Van, and I discuss all things pro wrestling, as well as a couple of other colorful topics from outside of wrestling. I want to thank all of you who do visit Fightful.com. We got pro wrestling, boxing, MMA, photos, videos, podcasts, forums, breaking news, live news. We broke the news of WWE spending upwards of $250,000 on Bray Wyatt for legal fees. We broke the news of Ronda Rousey coming to pro wrestling, doing some pro wrestling training with WWE's Brian Kendrick, and tons more stories. So head over to Fightful.com. We've broken quite a bit of news lately, so definitely go check out Fightful.com if you're only a fan of the podcast. Make Fightful.com your pro wrestling, MMA, boxing news destination. We opened up the show, which I thought was a very good idea. Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, right out of the gate. Now, they kind of had to do this. They couldn't run it as the main event segment, as we would find out for formatting reasons. But going straight into this, I thought gave it almost a bigger feel, Alex.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where, wait a minute, did that happen? Like, it was 3 hours ago, and they seem to be starting some kind of story with it that they forgot about 2.5 hours later. Well, all I was watching this was going, damn, both Seth and Dean 2 weeks back to back. I want Braun versus those guys in singles programs. They both made him look like $1 million, and he, in turn, sold some of their offense great. There was a couple of great. The finish was great with Seth going for his rain trigger and him turning it into a rainmaker clothesline, which was great.
Really good.
The beat down afterwards. One of the guys follows me on Twitter, said that they should start up this thing where it's just Braun challenges Seth and Dean to a match, a handicap match for the tag titles, and wins. And then it's just Braun turning the tag division into the handicap division until two guys powerful enough can take him down. I just think I love Braun so much, and that's something that you can do with him that isn't giving him a shot at the Universal title and actually putting him over, which you should be doing. At least give him something to do that's meaningful outside of that. This whole segment was awesome. Loved it. Was really looking forward to them using it in the future, and it doesn't appear that they're going to.
I don't know what the hell they're going to do at this point. They're switching up a lot of the plans that they had because some things have changed. But I think Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose seem like they were made for a guy like Strowman. I'm not of the belief that of a lot of people that nobody should get offense on Braun Strowman. I think styles make fights. And the thing is, Braun Strowman is now consistently facing the top of the top. Kurt Hawkins wasn't getting offense on him.
No.
Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are, and that's fine. I thought that Strowman kicking out at one after the blockbuster was sold even better by Rollins' expression. That was really good. And that sweet counter into the Rainmaker, then the power slam. I got to admit, when I was younger and I saw British Bulldog do the running power slam, I was like, yeah, it's okay. Sure, that's fine. When Braun does it, like, there's nothing particularly special about it. I just buy it because he's so big and he's so powerful, and we've seen him tear some stuff up. Ambrose saves Rollins from a beatdown and gets some offense, but falls victim to that sweet double choke slam that Braun's been doing. We're going to lift them back up in one motion, then slam them back down. Also, he's victim to a shaky cam. We will talk more about that later. Oh, it's so bad. You've been in a car for 10 hours, and you get to come home to that. Phenomenal.
I didn't have motion sickness before. I do now.
It's like when you go to the fair and somebody's like, you want to ride rides? No. All these rides just go around in circles. These aren't roller coasters. It's a WWE camera ride. That's all it is. Backstage, Mickie James is walking and encounters Emma and Alicia Fox, who kind of giggle at her. Mickie James finds her locker room, which she apparently has because of seniority, and sees diapers and a walker. Now, I don't really care about any of that. It was a good setup and everything. Sure, fine. I'm good with that. Why is Nia Jax in Emma's locker room? Or not Emma's, Alexa Bliss's.
Okay. See, this is the problem, is that you have however many minute backstage segment, and all it would take would be one line of dialogue to fix this whole deal. But instead, I had to see on my timeline no fewer than 75 tweets about, why are Nia and Alexa friends again? Here's that clip of Nia turning on Alexa to prove that they're not friends anymore. Like, hey, listen. There's no continuity in WWE, and we have to accept it. This is the hill you're going to die on.
We don't have to accept it. No, we don't have to accept it at all. They teased for a fucking month, Alex, this turn.
Right.
This happening. A month of their television time was used to build this up, that they were not friends, that they weren't going to be friends anymore. And then, because this other girl was the only one to not lose the match, that's why they're friends again? I don't get it.
All it would take would be one line of Alexa saying, I needed a bodyguard, and Alexa says she pays good. And that's it. Like, that's because Alexa
didn't say that.
I know, absolutely. But to me, I was watching and going, God, it would have been nice if they had said this. And to me, it was implied. Like, there's so many other terrible instances of a lack of continuity. This is not the hill I'm going to die on, objecting to their lack of continuity. It's bad.
I don't think it's a hill to die on. It's not. It's they fucked up. They screwed up. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's not wrong for people to be like,
no.
Why are they friends? Why are they friends? They had a match a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago.
But none of that matters
to you.
No. It matters to me. I'm saying to them. They don't.
Okay, it should matter. That's why we're here talking about it.
It should matter. You're right. It should matter. It didn't bother me nearly as much as other things for the rest of the episode. But I was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. But I like Nia and Alexa together. I think it's a fun pairing. I'm glad that they're back together because it could lead to some fun stuff. I agree. There should have been one line of dialogue because that's all it would have taken to explain why they're back together. Give
it a reason. Just a reason.
Yep.
Bray Wyatt rambles backstage. We'll get to that later. WWE acknowledged the Braun Cruiserweight beatdown of Enzo, who was speechless backstage as he's interviewed. I think that having Enzo speechless in a situation like that holds a lot of gravity, but he wasn't speechless later. So,
yeah, that was the weirdest... because it's not like this is the first time we've been able to see him since that beatdown. Because the next night on 205 Live, which nobody watches but is in canon, like it happened, he comes out and he runs his mouth, and then at the end of the night, he beats Neville half to death with a crutch. Mm-hmm. Talking trash the whole time. So to have him like, so Enzo, what's your reaction to seeing this footage, and him stare off into the distance, trying to manufacture a tear, that kind of belies all the things that he did the day after this beatdown, and it also belies all the things he would do at the end of the night. So it's completely out of character and didn't work.
Yeah, I'm with you. So after this, Roman Reigns backstage says he's not surprised about the Cesaro and Sheamus attack. Actually, I haven't gotten there yet. So, Elias comes out. I may buy WWE 2K18 just to see what a full Elias entrance and song is like. Because bravo to the creative genius who said, you know what? Let's have Titus interrupt a song.
Right.
But it wasn't just any song. It was Nutshell by Alice in Chains. Do you think that Vince has any damn clue what that is?
No, he thinks that Great Balls of Fire is a timely song to name a pay-per-view after. I think he might have skipped the grunge period in the 90s. Nutshell, one of my top favorite songs of the 90s. Loved it. Wore out that CD when it came out. Was a huge Alice in Chains fan. So he started playing those chords, and I was like, holy crap, I love Elias because he's playing a straight up cover of Nutshell with new lyrics. When the fact that they announce, I think he announced in the song or the promo before the song, I'm going to wrestle Titus. You just know you're going to hear that damn whistle come out. It's like, it's a thing. Like, I prefer it when I don't know who he's going to face. And then the music comes like, oh, this will be Elias's opponent. It's as though he was going to play a set of covers from the 90s. And this guy decided, this is too much. I'm going to run in there and stop him. But announcing ahead of time, I'm anticipating a match now with Titus. Here, let me play you a few bars first. It just doesn't work. It's not as powerful.
People ask me on Twitter if I'm buying the new 2K game. Usually I do, but I've never. The last 2 or 3 years, I've never played it more than like a week. So whoever reviews it for Fightful, that's where you're going to get the information regards to that from. Titus interrupts. Quick, hard-hitting match. Elias powders out and pushes Apollo, runs inside and gets his finish. And it didn't look like he had the easiest of times getting Titus through on that. And I mean, Titus has been phased out of in-ring work for a reason, and that's kind of why. Elias wins. Sure. Mickie James defeated Nia Jax via DQ. I told you all the flappy pants weren't going anywhere.
Right.
They're back. Alexa Bliss gets a big reaction when she comes out. Nia Jax. She was a treasure, at least verbally in this match. Asked if Mickie James needed her life alert.
Yep.
That was good stuff. That was good stuff.
It was like she opened a book of the dozens and turned to Yo Mama So Old and just used all of those jokes. Have we mentioned on this podcast that Samoa Joe is the same age as Mickie James? And we're not doing, man, Samoa Joe sure is old, isn't he? That's not a storyline. I mean, is this not Piggy James, but except she's old now instead of fat?
Yeah, she's a pig that's about to get slaughtered now.
Well, that's that was the thing about the backstage segment I didn't like particularly was Emma and Alicia Fox behaving like third-tier characters in Mean Girls, like giggling in the halls of the school.
It's the way they always treat their women when they write for them. It's really bad.
It's terrible. Like, there's so much stuff you could do. Personally, play up the idea that, yeah, I'm older than you, who just got out of college last week, but that also means I've been the women's champ 6 times, and I'm going to make it a 7th, as opposed to just depends in my locker room. I'm angry about that. So, no, but I'd much rather watch...
hit by trains while you all were wrestling on main event.
I'd much rather watch Nia Jax insult her in the ring than them being insulted backstage.
I'm gonna say that the train probably didn't hurt nearly as much as an equally hilarious and awesome double leg takedown that Nia Jax did to her.
Yep.
It was God, and I've watched a lot of amateur wrestling in my day, and that one's up there. She got planted. There's no way that was a spot that was called before the match. That was all on the fly. Go back and watch that, you guys. Just, whoo. That was a sick one. Sick one. Also, ugly tornado DDT that almost gets Mickie the win. But Alexa interferes. I thought that's a pretty fair way to not pin Nia.
Sure. No, that was fine. It was interesting. This is kind of how they should have been booking Bayley during Bayley's feud with Alexa. You know what I mean?
Saying that she's old?
No, but... You
know what they should have done? They should have done the old line. What's it going to be like in a few years when you don't look like the older sister and you look like the aunt? Remember that narrative?
Yeah.
Yeah. Will she be over when she looks like an aunt?
Yeah, but my point being that she has, the big bad monster down for the count and is going to get the win, and then Alexa Bliss saves her and she fights off Alexa and she walks out tall. That's how you book a babyface, not getting hit with a kendo stick 85 times. So, this is I'm interested in seeing what Mickie James has to offer in this one-on-one program that none of the girls in the last pay-per-view cycle got. They all had to be a part of a fatal 5-way. Now Mickie James gets to be in there one-on-one, and we get to see what she's got to offer.
Yeah. That match gets made, and oh boy, this corny segment with Mickie and Kurt Angle. Why?
Because it's supposed to endear Mickie to us.
She's Mickie James. Come on.
No, it's bad.
I mean, she's not over. I mean, she's barely over right now, but that's what they do. They take people off TV forever, then they bring them back and put them in the title picture, as we'll see later. Maybe not the best way to keep somebody over, but they do that a lot. If they don't want to beat somebody, they just don't put them on TV.
Right.
Weird thinking, in my opinion. At least for their model. The Good Brothers defeated Matt Hardy and Jason Jordan. We see a backstage segment that leads to this match. Jason Jordan left SmackDown to come over to Raw and be in a tag team.
Yep.
And I kind of hope that this continues with him and Hardy. That way he can eventually turn on Hardy and maybe get a singles program out of that, because Matt's got to do something.
Yeah, Matt just being the guy who comes out and does a few delete gestures, and they don't really catch on because nobody really thinks they're actually going to pull the trigger with that, and so they're kind of sad. I mean, that's how it reads right now, is that, oh, yeah, there was that thing I was really excited about them doing 6 months ago that they're not going to do. It feels nostalgic in a weird way for something that happened last year. But Jason Jordan, the big news here is no singlet, which means he can't pull down the straps and go nuts before his running, diving shoulder tackle into the corner thing. He can't pull down the straps.
It's a good one, too. That shoulder tackle is good.
It's great. But I always thought that he couldn't do it without pulling the straps down first. That's why in that one match back in NXT, he pulled the straps down, then got stopped from being able to do it. Then later he pulled the straps back up so that he could pull them down again so he could do the move.
That was great.
I thought he had to pull the straps down before he could do the move, much like cocking the fist before doing the Superman punch.
One of these days, Roman's going to leave the safety on, and somebody's going to no-sell the move. It's just, I know it.
He forgot to cock the fist.
Yes. The ref ignores the turnbuckle pad that's just chilling on the apron that had no bearing on the match at all. So Jordan is such an impressive physical wrestler, though. Booker makes a nice comment, I think, from a kayfabe perspective about how Jason Jordan likes to get his big suplexes in. Like, he'll do those almost at the cost of losing the match. And I think that's a good way of calling him a spot monkey without doing it. Mm-hmm. There's that. And then, for as long as Jason Jordan played the hot tag guy, I thought he did babyface in peril very, very well tonight. Mm-hmm. Matt Hardy gets the hot tag, not usually what he does. Sometimes he does it, but it's usually Jeff, and he does that well. Who I didn't think was necessarily well was Luke Gallows. Like, I love Gallows and Anderson. I really do, but Gallows is not looking the best physically or in the ring. I could see him looking around for where Matt Hardy was for spots and stuff.
Yeah.
Wasn't the best for him, but they got the magic killer and got it done. They're directionless, so I don't have any real hope for that. But Gallows and Anderson could have been something. They are one of those acts that needs a hard reset on their motivation as characters. But
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do. If you're serious about putting the Shield back together, you gotta give us one Finn and the Good Brothers versus the Shield match. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do there if you wanted to actually create a de facto trios division where the Shield takes on three guys that are of comparable stature to them. That could be a really cool thing to do with them. But at least the Gallows and Anderson got to flash the Too Sweet thing way more than they normally do.
So let's talk about that. Obviously, they're good with the Young Bucks and all them. So when I asked about the situation last week, Bullet Club showing up, Marty Scurll, Cody, Hangman Page, Young Bucks. Well, first off, I haven't been able to get a solid outside of that circle confirmation on the cease and desist anyway. But I was told that Vince didn't sell it at all backstage. It was just kind of that's cute type of thing. That's it. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he sold it to his attorneys, though. So yeah. And then at an NXT event last week, they had all their guys doing a Click tribute and throwing up Too Sweets on the stage. And I'm like, eh? Now, here's the thing about Young Bucks. They're going to, they already have, found a way to make more money off of this than ever before. I shouldn't have to explain to people who say that the Young Bucks are a ripoff the Young Bucks gimmick. Because their gimmick is that they were called ripoffs, so they were like, okay, we're going to be ripoffs. And they made way too much money off of it. They're swimming in their Scrooge McDuck pools. Literally, they're Scrooge McDuck pools because they probably took that too.
Yep.
And they're going to do a 3-suite or a cease and desist driver or something which cease and desist is a pretty badass name for a finisher, honestly.
Great.
No, that's a pretty
That should be like part of their super kick party. Is one of them is called cease, and the other one is desist. Cease and desist.
That's phenomenal. And then they drop it into the sucket. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, they're very smart. They're going to persevere. They're going to make a lot of money. They're probably going to make way more money off of this than they would have before. Yeah. Which why initially I'm sitting there thinking this is an angle that they ran.
Right.
Because why wouldn't they?
Right.
If something like this could happen, it makes them more anti-establishment. But my favorite part of the whole situation was everybody last week saying, this is a clear ripoff of the DX deal. And I'm like, oh, God, I can't wait until they watch the episode of Being the Elite. That was fun stuff. That was very good stuff. The way that they've grown that is particularly impressive. Because I watched the first ones, and I've watched them all the way through. Like you almost have to because they relate to Ring of Honor storylines now. Yeah. They're integrated into the show, so you almost have to watch them. And they really adapted, and they brought in Marty Scurll and Cody Rhodes, who has this incredible dry sense of humor on them. Man, it's really good stuff. Not only that, they set up feuds and angles and everything with these. So. I highly recommend that. We always post them on Fightful.com, where you can get all your pro wrestling in May and boxing news, podcasts, photos, videos, forums, and more. Anyway. Later on, it's Intercontinental title match time. The Miz Taraj mocked the Shield entrance. I thought that was a good move. Reigns beats the tar out of Dallas and Axel to get them out of the equation. So to me, I'm thinking, Reigns' character beat up the Miz Taraj. We don't need to see the Shield face them. Let's just throw that out, and that might be what happened. Corey Graves did a really good job, I thought, Alex, of explaining that Miz probably got a lot of this offense because Reigns expended a lot of energy committing attempted murder on Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel.
Right. No, absolutely. All of this is great. I love seeing a guy being smart enough to be like, well, before the bell rings, I'm going to destroy the two guys who are definitely going to interfere in this match.
Killed them.
That's smart.
Yes.
And while it may not be true, if you were to ask me to name adjectives that I would use to describe Roman Reigns, smart wouldn't make my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to have him be cerebral enough to do this kind of a thing. Whereas,
and he has to get a concealed carry permit to do his signature move. That's not smart.
I know. Yes. It's one of those things that I would see somebody like The Miz do and go, see, that's the crafty Miz. Thinking ahead, one step ahead. So that's an interesting little tidbit that kind of fed into this whole thing. Speaking of which, in the match, it was just like as soon as you see those guys, your boys, if you're The Miz, getting destroyed up on the stage, why not just take your belt and skedaddle out through the crowd the back way? Because you don't really want this match anyway now.
Yeah.
You're going to lose and count out, whatever. Title doesn't change hands. So the fact that he wrestled the match anyway, I really wish they had played into more like, you know what? Screw you, Roman. I'm going to beat you anyway. I wish they had done more of that as opposed to I'm scared of you, but not scared enough to actually leave the ringside area. I thought they could have done a lot more of like Miz with delusions of grandeur. That could have been a lot of fun. But he held his own, as you said, because Corey Graves pointed out, yes, that would take a lot of energy to swing that chair so many times.
There was something I think it was on the Road Warriors DVD that came out about 12 years ago that really stuck with me. And Animal said some ridiculous things since, but one of the things that he said was that he always pushed hard for he and Hawk to be street smart. Mm-hmm. Like you can pull one over on them, but it's got to mean something. And they stayed over and feared. And you could interchange one of them. If Ric Flair needed to wrestle Hawk, he could wrestle Hawk, and people bought it, and they thought, maybe this is the night Hawk's going to win the championship type of thing. I think they do that with Braun Strowman. I think they keep him almost street smart. He doesn't get outsmarted per se in a way that makes him look stupid very much. If he does, it's because he's running at something that he's going to destroy, and he just goes through it. So, yeah, that's kind of a thing that always stuck with me. Miz hits a nice short DDT, works over Reigns, hits a skull-crushing finale and tries to get a pin, but he's going to need at least like 6 or 7 of those based on what we've seen lately. Yeah, no, that was cute, Miz. Cute. Do you think you were going to get a pinfall off of one skull-crushing finale? I think Reigns is still kicking out of AAs right now. Yes. Likely. So, Cesaro and Sheamus attack Reigns in the match. This crowd was hot for this match, too. It meant something. There was a real thought that with Brock Lesnar out for a little while, that Roman Reigns could be Intercontinental Champion, kind of lead the charge. No, absolutely. I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that now Miz is more over than he's been in ever. Like everyone, like he's a major attraction now, and so we all know kind of what his matches are going to be like. But then you take away his goons on the outside, and holy crap, this changes a lot of stuff. As we see, it doesn't really. But during the portion of the match that was actually being wrestled, there was a lot of stuff to get excited about. A couple of cool near falls and Reigns reacting to Miz kicking out of the Superman punch was great. And I really wish that Miz would have more of those moments where he shows that he's tougher than his opponents believe him to be. So that was good too. But then Sheamus and Cesaro, for some reason, they beat the bejesus out of Roman Reigns. Like, this was a good sustained ass whipping. Then they did the Shield triple power bomb. I thought that was a great heel move. The teases are there. We know what's coming. I thought that was a fantastic touch. And they put a bow on this at the end of the night, which we'll address it there. Yeah, the thing about this is when you were talking about continuity problems, this was the one that got me. Oh yeah. Like, what do Sheamus and Cesaro care? Like, yes, nominally Roman is friends with Dean and Seth. Well, Roman he kind of dissed Cesaro and Sheamus earlier in the night. Did he? I mean, backstage, like, yeah. Backstage interview. Okay, fine, but they're certainly not buddies with the Miz. You know what I mean? There wasn't, to me, there wasn't. How do you make friends, Alex? How do you make friends? Because where I come from, all right, we mutually kick the shit out of people. Sure, that's true. It's a thing in Kentucky. I drove through there and saw not one but 2 different maulings on the side of the road. It's haywire down there. It seemed to me such an obviously see-through, oh, this is how we're gonna get to the Shield reunion, which like I could totally, like, the problem is that you set up a great possibility for a trio to go against the Shield in Sheamus and Cesaro and Braun Strowman, who both hate Seth and Dean, and Braun will always hate Roman. Yes. So I thought that was going to be your trio, and they melded that together nicely over the first half of the episode. And then to have Sheamus and Cesaro to show up and go like, we hate everybody, we don't care who we team with as long as we take down people. I'm like, fine, but I don't think of them as being anarchists. Maybe I should start thinking of them that way. But sure, Miz, Sheamus, and Cesaro could be a lot of fun as foils for the Shield. I wish Braun was involved in some way, and maybe they'll figure out a way to do that next week. But yeah, we're 3 weeks away, and we have one match set, which is which is what I prefer. But it's so odd that it's freaking me out because WWE loves to plan their matches 6 weeks ahead of time for the pay-per-view. And see, for a long time, they used to announce everything the week before, and people were like, why would you do that? Then when you see the booking, how it looks when you announce everything 4, 5, 6 weeks out, you realize, okay, booking things to where they decide matches a week or two before often works better because you have more meaningful activity going into that pay-per-view as opposed to a lot of placeholder BS.
The sweet spot for me is to announce the matches 2 weeks out. Then the go-home is all the hype between those two guys or two women or group of them if there's a multi-person match. You can have all that hype for the go-home, and then you go right into the thing. I don't necessarily like it like, 5 days from now, you're going to have a match. I don't love that. But I definitely don't love in 6 weeks in Hell in the Cell, you're going to have a match. So for the next 5 weeks, we're going to talk about that. It's just you run out of things to do and say.
So where are we? I lost my spot on my notes. Okay. Balor comes out. He's wearing his traditional black gear. I was a fan of the gray. You get the big pop in Denver, but says a lot of stuff that doesn't matter. Bray Wyatt's in the Titantron, says that Sister Abigail is dying to meet Balor. Then he uses some, he's an AV guy. He uses a Snapchat filter, changes his face. I don't know where this is going. I don't give a damn about him and Balor, but it was the best thing I've seen him do in a while. And maybe that's because it teases somebody else being brought in. But who knows? They've done this before.
Yeah. The interesting thing was tonight on her Twitter, Mae Young Classic participant Sage Beckett tweeted out a photo of a woman on fire, which we know is what happened to Sister Abigail when Randy Orton burned down the shack that her remains were in. And the superimposed over the burning woman was, they're all lies, something like that. Which, of course, like, she'll never lie to me. She'll never lie to me. She'll never lie to me was the thing. So it's like, are you tipping your hand way early, Sage, that you're going to show up and be Sister Abigail? Because if so, all right. But
so she probably ain't getting that job anymore. That role anymore.
Yeah. But I'm fine with them finally giving a flesh and blood Sister Abigail, but I also like the idea of Bray Wyatt actually has snapped. That's better to me than the guy who comes out and says, I'm a god. Hey, you're just a man. I'd much rather have the guy who believes he is possessed by his dead sister. That guy's way more interesting to me than the dude who just comes out and says the same promo over and over and over again.
Yeah. WWE ran an 18-minute segment for Bayley and Sasha Banks versus Alicia Fox and Emma. What my thing was, man, I feel like I'm complaining a lot tonight, but hey, they have some of the most consistently embarrassing camera work on TV. And during this Sasha Banks entrance, go back and watch how bad it was. It was miserable. It was terrible. I have a friend who does camera work for MMA. And does it for some other local regional sports. And when it was a couple weeks ago, he sent me a Facebook message and he's like, why do WWE hire such bad cameramen? I was like, it's the production. And he was like, the shaking and the zooming and all that. And I said, yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. This match doesn't have any really heat at all, but why would it?
It means nothing.
It meant nothing until the very end, where it will lead to a match next week that will then mean nothing after that.
Right.
Some of the positives of the match, I loved Alicia's sell of Bayley's rope stunner. That was really good. She's dedicated to that character. She plays it well. I'm reminded of how well she plays it every time she's in there. Also, Booker T's reaction to the snatch ball line from Corey. Like, there was a thread on Reddit recently about how, like, no shits are given by Booker T.
Yes.
Like, he'll get stuff absolutely wrong, and Corey Graves will correct him, and he'll just be like, oh. He's great. He's great. He does no preparation, and he's still better than Tom Phillips.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Emma leaves Alicia Fox hanging. Fox takes a bad-looking Bayley to belly, and that was on Alicia Fox, too. 18-minute segment, 13-minute tag match. Bayley and Sasha get the win. Emma leaves Alicia, so I'm assuming we get 1 week of Emma versus Alicia. Emma beats her, and that's that.
Yeah. Does this mean that Alicia's was a heel this week, but be babyface next week? Like, they're doing that a lot now with Gold Dust and whatnot. It's the
Who was it on the show?
The Big Show Memorial heel face turn. Love Alicia. Missed her, especially as an in-ring worker and not just, somebody's girlfriend on 205 Live. But my favorite part of this whole match by far was her, throwing Sasha around by the hair, and the ref's like, hey, watch the hair. And she just turns to him and, I don't listen to rules.
It was fantastic.
I love her. Why is she
They always say don't bury the ref in the first match. But hey, if it's the last match, bury the hell out of him.
Well, it's fine. Like, the fact that, like, if you tell me that any other competitor said that, I'd be like, that's weird. But the fact that it was Alicia Fox, I go, yep, that's just Foxy. That's all.
Emma got a
Foxy.
new addition to her song, yeah?
Yeah.
Man. Probably my favorite thing about this match were Alicia Fox and Sasha swinging like they were Bart and Lisa Simpson. Just.
Yep.
Just.
Yeah. Yep.
Main event segment was good, kind of.
Yeah.
So for the second week in a row, Enzo Amore made Cruiserweight promo a main event segment, which is pretty awesome. I still think he needs a leopard print title strap. I think that would fit him. But he cuts a great promo. The entire division comes out and surrounds him. And then he cuts great promos on each one of them individually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just ethers all of them, except for Tozawa.
Right. You didn't get around to him because he started too early in the clockwise. And you got to end with Neville because that's the most recent guy that you beat. You can't go like, and you, Neville, this really important character. I'm going to talk to you. Tozawa, something. Like, it just wouldn't have worked. So he started the wrong way. There were some good things and some bad things, but I think it was working off the cuff. So, good for him for that. He got
months and months worth of promo material already written.
Yeah. He did basically the same promo without the, roast of the division on 205 Live. So if you're looking for a preview of what will happen next Monday, watch 205 Live tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And they'll probably do the same thing, working out the kinks of the delivery.
What were some of your favorite insults that he unleashed? The Mustafa Ali one was very good.
Yeah, Mufasa. He's got a funny sounding name because he's not from here.
You hate fun. You hate it.
I hated that one. I thought it was really funny that he was obsessed with how young T.J. Perkins looked. I know what my favorite one was. That he just looked at Brian Kendrick and says, "You look like a hobo." And I wanted to just end it there and move on to the next guy because that was just ridiculous.
He took a shot at Corey Graves, who he's been. Well, I mean, Corey Graves takes a lot of shots at Enzo, so I think it's fair game.
Yeah. No,
Sam Adonis, who was Corey Graves' brother, took a shot today too, but it was just a little bit of self-promotion, I think.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Like, listen, we all know in kayfabe that Corey Graves hates Enzo and has forever. Mm-hmm. So the funny thing, like, my son stole second base and celebrated by dancing like Enzo. I failed as a father. That's cute. But when you're like, you failed as a wrestler, and that's why they put you in a suit and sat you down because, like, no, seriously, this guy had a series of concussions and he had to retire, and it's a really tragic story because he, that was his livelihood, and they gave him this other thing.
He's a heel.
But, like, the fact that it's, like, whatever. Enzo goes below the belt with a lot of his stuff. Tonight, didn't, but he does and has in the past. Never not going to be happy when he gets beaten down.
So Kurt Angle comes out. Before all this, Enzo said that Last week, all these guys lost their title opportunities because they touched him. Also, it's a shame Braun can't get a title shot either now. But they'll lose their jobs if they touch him tonight. Kurt Angle shows up and he says, that does apply to all these guys, but not to this guy who I just signed. That's the sound of Kalisto's theme music because that's how it went over.
It's the sound. His entrance begins with the sound of disappointment.
Flaccid. Just flaccid.
It begins with the sound of disappointment. Why would you saddle anyone with that as entrance music? It's terrible.
It's like when you first hear it, you think it's TJP, and then you're like, oh, it's this guy. And he doesn't even like sarcastically dab. What are we doing here?
What was this? Kalisto was one of the first victims of the new trend of terrible entrance music. Because it happened months ago, and we just kind of forgot about it. But
he's never on TV.
But he's been wrestling with that whenever he is on TV with that damn theme music.
Once a month, though.
Once a month. But if Kurt Angle had done the thing where he's like, here's this guy to sign, and it started out with Lucha, 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 at least it'd be upbeat. It'd be upbeat. You knew exactly who he was talking about, and you'd be like, oh.
Maybe.
Hey,
you could think it was Sin Cara.
That's true. And
even if it's Sin Cara, you don't know which one it is.
No, it could
be
any
number of Sin Caras.
Any number of them.
Kalisto hasn't won on Raw in 4 months.
Why would he? He's not facing anybody his own size. At least now
he's not losing on Raw a ton. He lost to Elias in a battle royal. He loses to Elias all the time, though.
Hey, remember that thing where he was in a dumpster match with Braun Strowman for no reason? Remember they did that? I don't know. I
remember when he was in a dumpster fire at the end of Raw tonight? Because that's what this was. You could have debuted any number of guys. This needed a debut. They had kind of the right idea, but they could have dragged Dean Malenko out from the agents area, and it would have went over better.
Yeah. No, yeah. I don't know. I mean, there weren't a lot of options. The only one I could think of was that Hideo Itami isn't really doing much in NXT, and that might be fun, but I don't know if that would get a pop.
It would have been probably his best chance at getting over.
Yeah. But I'm fine with this. The problem here is that you've set this thing up where the only guy who gets to even touch Enzo is Kalisto, let alone have a match with him. And they'll probably do this thing where he loses at TLC, extending this again so that Enzo can just be on 205 Live but never have to wrestle anybody.
Yeah.
Until, what, December? So it's just, I don't know. What should happen is Kalisto should come out and have a match against Enzo tomorrow and win the title, and then Neville should beat him at TLC. And it gets it back on the right person who never should have had it taken off him to begin with. Because he's still the best guy, even if he's just standing on the apron looking through Enzo's face. Because that was great.
A nice Neville article that I assigned that Carlos Toro is working on now. That will be up on Fightful.com this week, by the way. He predicted his King of the Cruiserweight spot. There are no less than maybe like 8, 9, 10 guys in NXT that I would have rather seen in this spot. And, a lot of people will be like, nobody knows them. Well, that's the point. That's how you introduce them on Raw in a main event segment like this. Make them seem like a big deal. Like that the whole NXT or the whole 205 division knew that they were a big enough deal to bring them in to beat Enzo Amore so they can all get their opportunities back.
Right.
Like, I just look up and down and I'm like, man, there are so many. And they went with Kalisto.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah, they could easily have. I mean, the thing is that even if you don't know who Hideo Itami is, you can play it up that the rest of the roster on 205 Live knows who he is and is really impressed by him. And then he goes in there and hits one GTS on Enzo, and the audience will be like, who's this dude? You know what I mean? Like, you could do that. You really could, but they decided, nope. is the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have no doubts that Kalisto Neville matches can be really great, but we'll see. I mean, hey, it's good he's in this division. It's just not good that this is how he's in the division.
Right.
We closed the show with Roman Reigns sitting backstage and Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins each approach, all facing the same direction, kind of look at each other. It's completely unnatural, but it was a good silent setup and preface to what they're going to do. Next week, Cesaro and Sheamus are on Miz TV. That's in Indianapolis. So it's quite possible that the debut, breakup, and reformation of the Shield all happen in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of beautiful.
This segment was really funny because it was just a close-up of Reigns sitting in the locker room wincing for, 25 seconds before Dean showed up. It was just silence of just Roman Reigns working out the shoulder a little bit. And, I think I might have bruised a rib, but not saying anything. And then Dean showed up. And then Dean was there for a while, just not saying anything. And then Seth showed up. And then Dean left. And everyone booed. People booed like, oh, no, they didn't. They're supposed to do the thing where they all do the thing with the fists, and they didn't do it.
It's
now
coming.
I'm upset. Yeah, they're waiting for it. That's called a tease, folks. They're waiting for that for next week.
I think everybody knows that, Alex.
Well, the people in Denver didn't. They were very upset that thing didn't
happen. They were a good crowd.
They were.
You got to hit on a good crowd. They were a fantastic crowd. They were great. We got a live post-SmackDown show tomorrow night, live post-WWE Hell in a Cell show on Sunday. The List and Your Boy coming at you on Wednesday. Also, the flagship Holy Smokes MMA podcast Tuesday. We're working on something on Thursday as well. Post-UFC 216 show on Saturday. Alex, did you get to see the Sheamus Brock Lesnar match by chance?
I saw a clip of it.
I had coverage of it up and a match rating, and it was duty.
Well, I'm not surprised.
It was bad. Like, I finally turned the corner on just like disliking Brock Lesnar singles matches. Like, it's happened too often for me to just completely ignore. Like, he just didn't want to bump the first. Like, the match was only like 4.5 minutes, and for the first two, he didn't want to bump like at all,
right?
Like off a clothesline or off of a brogue kick.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Sheamus kind of like hossed him up and made him bump off of the what the hell's the over the shoulder pile driver thing, white noise.
Yeah.
And then he started a little bit. Brock's like, oh wait, I'm a big son of a bitch. I can take this. But, I mean, you got a show in Minneapolis, and you're not putting Brock on it. That's weird to me. TLC, no Brock Lesnar.
Well, that's the thing, is that I guess I'd be okay with it if they referenced him. Like, when he's not on your upcoming pay-per-view, he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like Braun lost to him, and so who's his next title contender? The entire, like, if you know he's the next time he's going to be on a pay-per-view and he's going to have a match, the whole time should be a series of matches that crown the next contender. Like, it should be who's going to face Brock next.
Hey, we got to keep that Finn Balor Bray Wyatt feud going.
No, we don't, though. We don't is the thing. I'm reminded of what I thought was a very good house show match between Brock and Rusev last year or the year before, where Rusev just went to town on him with all kinds of those crazy giant kicks of his, got him down, had him in position for the accolade, and Brock just went whoop right between his legs. German, F5. Good night, folks. And it was just like he took all. There was no back and forth. It was just, Rusev, get all of your shit in, then I'm going to get in all of mine, and I'm going to go home. And when I say all of my shit, I mean 2 different moves. One spammed 7 times, and then the last one. But for the first half, with Rusev doing some fun stuff, That was great, but I love the counter from the Accolade directly into a German suplex. I don't know what the draw is of Brock Lesnar having 4-minute matches that aren't really fun on house shows. Like, if that's why are you expending his dates that way? You know?
Well, that's just a part of the deal. It's not like they can use all of his dates on pay-per-view matches and stuff like that.
Right,
I'm sure they can negotiate something a little more fruitful like that, but that was just a part of the deal. Yeah. And they do it to increase live event revenue and ticket sales, all that good stuff. So that was Raw. It was not a fun time for me.
It wasn't great by any means at all.
Somebody asked if TLC is the final Raw on pay-per-view of the year. Yeah, it is. It's the final Raw only pay-per-view, and no, they didn't add one in December. It's that, then Survivor Series, then Royal Rumble. So I would expect a big Raw in December.
Yeah.
So help me God, I hope it's not the Christmas night one.
No, please don't do that for people.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Also, guys, unfortunate news. It has been confirmed Tom Petty passed away. Rest in peace. Sad news. Guys, I want to encourage you all to come check out Fightful.com. If you haven't already, leave us a thumbs up. Subscribe to us, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. All that stuff helps. And visit Fightful.com. Share our stories, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. We got a lot of engagement from all those last week. And I want to thank you all so much. It means so much every time each one of you comment on our stories, you share our stories, you let people know about us. We're still a very, very young website. Pro wrestling news is very much a habitual thing, and we want to make Fightful your habit. We give you really aspects of pro wrestling news that nobody else can give you. We give you tons of exclusives. We cover the more light and ridiculous side of things as well. Alex does a great job at that, and there is plenty. There are plenty of stories that go uncovered on a ton of other websites that Alex is like, yeah, let me get 500 words out of this because it's dumb. And it turns into a fantastic story. And we've had a lot of those picked up. Those are some of our more popular things on Reddit and on Twitter. Kelly getting permission to get married from beyond the grave by test. Alex, probably my favorite thing you've ever done.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to hear, but also kind of upsetting that I haven't done anything better than that in the year plus that I've been working.
I'm saying it's my favorite. I'm not saying it's. I mean, come on now. You know a lot of great stuff.
It was pretty great. I won't lie. It was terrible, but it was pretty great. Hey, there's a new season of Wags, so she might do something else crazy.
Ooh. I'm ready. I am ready. Guys, thank you so much. Again, tune in tomorrow. We have podcasts in the afternoon, the Holy Smokes MMA podcast. At night, the SmackDown post show. Head over to Fightful.com. I want to thank you guys so much. Goodbye.